We have this reptile, and then we have this reptile. So my question is, which one is better? And before you throw a comment letting me know which one you think is better, hear me out first. We're going to compare this beloved character fairly. I'm going to dissect their lore, design, and fighting style to determine which one is better. What's up everyone, I'm Scotty Kombat, and I am trying something new today. If you do like this video, please do leave a like. I'm not asking for it yet, I know it's too soon, but if you already did, I want to say how much I appreciate you, I love you, and I'm going to take you away from all this. Thank you for letting me e-beg. I promise I'm not as bad as True Underdog. Let's continue with the video. In order for everyone to understand Reptile's story from Deadly Alliance, so I can compare it fairly to Mortal Kombat 1's Reptile, I'm gonna need to speedrun the lore for you real quick. Shao Kahn has been the big bad for a long time. This is before Onaga, and there is no Shinnok here. At this point in Mortal Kombat, telling you that Shao Kahn is an absolute beast is still an understatement. Shang Tsung and Quan Chi meet up and agree to join forces formally for the first time and successfully kill him in a coup. Wasting no time, they take out their next biggest powerhouse, Liu Kang. In this installment of Mortal Kombat, the top dogs were wiped out from the start. The roster is now divided by Earthrealm defenders, those that are evil, and those that are neutral. Earthrealm and Outworld are vulnerable now. With that said, let's check up with Reptile's beginning story. Reptile had discovered the plot devised by Shang Tsung and Quan Chi to assassinate Shao Kahn, but on his way to inform his master, he was distracted by a vampire woman named Natara. She led him to the hidden base camp of Kitana's forces. Knowing the location of the base would be a great help to the Emperor in the war against Edenia and the Shokan. Eager to relay all that he had learned, Reptile raced back to Shao Kahn's fortress, only to discover him lying dead on the throne room floor. There's still some more story to be told for Reptile in Deadly Alliance, and then we'll move on to Reptile in Mortal Kombat 1. Reptile's detour to Kitana's base camp had delayed him just long enough for Shang Tsung and Quan Chi to spring their attack on Shao Kahn. Reptile was devastated that he had failed his master and wandered the Outworld wastelands aimlessly until he once again crossed paths with Natara. Desperately in need of a master, he offered his loyalty to her. Her first command to him was to attack the invader from Earthrealm, Cyrax. She explained that he must first destroy his arm panel in order to weaken the outsider. Here is where things take a twist. Reptile makes his way to a dragon lair, and in his ending, it's specified that he could smell Natara and Cyrax were just there. Left behind were traces of mystical powers and shards of broken glass. His revenge would have to wait. This is where the twist goes from 0 to 60 in no time. It immediately goes quiet before a tiny dragon cracks the egg open, shooting a massive blast into Reptile. This consumes Reptile, taking over his well-being, and it states the Dragon King has returned. Onaga officially takes over Reptile, which also explains why Reptile isn't on the roster in MK Deception. Now I really enjoy this story, except there are some details missing between Reptile and Cyrax. The 3D era tended to lend more towards mystery. I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10. I want to share in this timeline that the longer Reptile goes without a master, the more primitive he becomes, hence why he looks so different. Now as far as MK1's Reptile, I'll be rating his lore 2 against this one, and with that being said, let's begin the story of MK1 Reptile. Reptile is Zaterran, one of the reptiloid races which lives on Outworld's fringes. Like other reptiles, Zaterrans can camouflage themselves, but Reptile possesses a unique mutation, one which allows him to shift shape to appear human. Bullied mercilessly by Zaterrans for this ability, Reptile left home to make his future elsewhere. Upon Mortal Kombat 1's release, many fans found this bio to be incompetent, and an official Mortal Kombat mod released this towards the end of Reptile's bio to give it a little more clarity. Others also took notice as well. A mysterious figure approached Reptile. Wanting to learn the source of his power, not trusting them, he refused. The shady figure kidnapped Reptile's family, threatening to kill them if Reptile didn't cooperate. After defeating Shang Tsung, Reptile helps Baraka's people be accepted by Mileena since she now holds the throne. With Mileena as the new Empress, this gives the allies more room to be accepted and learn more about their kind. Sindel may have been portrayed more on the good side this time, but we'll save that for another time, and she's also not very nice to Li Mei. Oh, poor Li Mei. Reptile learns more about his own people and how many of them are being exterminated. With his new position as an ambassador of his kind, he commits to studying why this is happening and who is doing it. Also, early on, Reptile learns that Shang Tsung had already taken out his family. But this is a rare time in Mortal Kombat history where Reptile does get to unite with his race again. Most of my positive reception for Reptile in Mortal Kombat 1 is for the fact that he is getting more exposure and that he does have a chapter. And while I am open to change, I did find this one to be a little vanilla. With all the new possibilities we could have got Reptile and the way the story was handled, I do feel like it could have been better. Now, I'm not going to say it was terrible, but I am more interested in seeing what happens next. I'm giving Reptile's MK1 lore so far a 6.5 out of 10. Although Reptile doesn't have a lot going on in Deadly Alliance from the start, I do prefer our lovable Reptile being the direct servant to Shao Kahn versus Shang Tsung. This is a change that isn't seen too often, and I think it makes Reptile a more imposing figure. In this comparison, I prefer him with Shao Kahn rather than being a jailer for Shang Tsung. Reptile does make a good supporting fighter in Mortal Kombat 1, lending his help to Earthrealm's defenders. However, I feel Reptile's story is a bit more interesting by running into Natara and being sent on the hunt for Cyrax. This combines character stories into more interesting subplots. I love that Reptile is given a chapter in Mortal Kombat 1, but I do feel it could have been delivered a little bit better. The consistent fight matchups at Sundo take away from learning more about Syzoth. Reptile in this lore comparison has powerful endings in both Deadly Alliance and Mortal Kombat 1. One becomes an ambassador, and the other becomes the vessel for Onaga. I believe the birth of Onaga is more impressionable. However, if the story of Syzoth is fleshed out more, and if we do get to see more of his race, I can see myself becoming very interested. For now, Deadly Alliance wins in this comparison for how little can mean so much. Respectfully, leaving room open to debate this again when we learn more. However, we're not finished yet. I do want to compare the designs of Mortal Kombat 1's Reptile with the Reptile from Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. You certainly can't satisfy every Reptile fan, as some prefer him human and some prefer him full-blown lizard. I think Mortal Kombat 1 did an amazing design job in making him a hybrid. I myself prefer Reptile to be a human, more so in the arcade era, but that doesn't apply in this debate. With that being said, Deadly Alliance has one of my favorite lizard reptile designs. I think the black vest is fantastic, and the inclusion of the jagged blade is a great touch with his spiky back. I think the new era Reptile looks fine as a human, but less impressive in his mutant form in comparison. With that said, the human version of MK1 looks good. I just wish his outfit was a little more similar to the Lin Kuei brothers, even though he's not Lin Kuei. It's just the design I would have preferred. I'm barely pushing Deadly Alliance Reptile over MK1 Reptile with an 8.5 out of 10, and MK1 Reptile with an 8 out of 10. Last but certainly not least, who would win in a fight? Reptile from MK1 or Deadly Alliance? Now, sticking solely to what they can do, you gotta give Deadly Alliance some props for having a sword. He has that going for him. But in MK1 Reptile's defense, the Deadly Alliance Reptile can't go invisible. Now, Deadly Alliance Reptile can spin across the screen fast with spikes like a Kano ball, and MK1 Reptile can body slam you from 100 feet in the air like an Acme anvil. Now, both of them have wicked acid balls they can spit at each other. I would say they both have some pretty good acid resistance though. A deal breaker for me is that MK1's Reptile mutant form is so much bigger than the reptilian form of Deadly Alliance. If that Reptile can just avoid the sword and not get impaled by it, or if it just came down solely to lizard versus lizard, I think it's obvious who the winner would be. I don't know. Bruce Lee was pretty small too, and I'm gonna go with MK1 Reptile on this, but I want to know what you guys think. This is a new series I decided to try called Which is Better, where I will be comparing mirror characters against each other from past and future. So if you enjoyed it, please do leave a like, leave a comment on your takes on this. They truly do help, and I do see you guys out there that do support me. It means a lot. I'll see you live or in the next video. Much love and take care.